What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. It is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Today we are doing our first ever attempt at video. Eek. I've never done this before. Hopefully, this turns out really well for all of us. So welcome. Today's show is called Choose You. Yes, you are allowed to do that. And we are going to be talking about how by balancing your own needs with the needs of the people and situations in your life, and why it's important to choose you, how to make yourself a priority in your own life. This is going to be an interesting show. I got some really great quotes for you. I've got some really great information, and I hope that we end up in a place where you have been able to change some of your thoughts on things. Yeah. So welcome. So on Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about our subliminal soundtrack. We talk about how to make it work for us rather than against us, about seeing your unique beauty and value and recognizing the contribution your presence is to the world. And how great is that, right? Yay. So, what happens when the choices we make are always about the needs and desires of others? We put ourselves on the back burner and our own needs go unmet. But when you choose you, you naturally begin to make choices that support you in creating the life you truly desire. When you choose you, you take better care of yourself and you attract the people and situations that will bring you more joy, more fulfillment, and more abundance. And who doesn't want more of that? I do. Please, I'll take as much of that as I can possibly get. So, when we talk about the subliminal soundtrack, here's the deal. Subliminal soundtrack is that thing, that sort of message place that plays in the back of your mind all day, every day. It tells you everything that you need to know about everything in the world. It's made up from the experiences, the things that you've learned. It's all of that stuff, and it's really quite deeply ingrained in us. So when we're talking about our subliminal soundtrack and how it relates to this idea of choosing you, here's how it works. So if you have this idea that it is more important for you to meet the needs of others than it is for you to meet your own. Or worse yet, if you have an idea that you being a certain way will earn the love of someone, then here's what's going to happen. You're going to end up burnt out and exhausted and quite unhappy with your life. If you, though, have this idea that you're working from, that your needs are just as important as everyone else's, and that you want to make things in your life happy for yourself, that that's an important priority in your own life, then you are going to bring into your world the people and situations that support you in creating that type of world for yourself. So I have written an article called 3 Easy Ways to Reset Your Subliminal Soundtrack. It is available by going to phoenixcoach.ca. That's PHOENIXCOACH.ca. And if you click on the link to, I don't even know, to register for it, there's a big box there. You can figure it out. I'm sure you're smart enough. If you can figure out how to be on this, then you can figure out how to sign up for that. And then you'll get the free article. It's got some really great tips on how to go about doing that and some more information that helps you to understand exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about the subliminal soundtrack. So with all of that having been said, let's get going on the show. So the first quote that I've got for you, and now that we've got video, I'm going to show you some of them. I'm probably not going to show you all of them because some of them aren't that pretty, but this one I like. So I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can see that. It says, every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, this will happen. You will resent people. You will do a bad job. You will have less energy for the things you were doing a good job on. You will make less money. And yet another small percentage of your life will be used up, burned up, a smoke signal to the future saying, I did it again. This is from James Altucher. I don't know how to say that. Choose yourself. So absolutely brilliant, right? Like, have you ever done that? Have you ever, felt obligated or guilted into doing something that you really didn't want to do? No, I'm sure that's never happened, right? Yeah. Well, when we come at things from that space of obligation and requirement, it does build resentment up in us. And here's the great news: when we can start to shift our thinking about this stuff and start to say yes to showing up in our own way, when we're functioning from our gifts and our brilliance, then what happens is that we shift the way that we be with this sort of stuff. So instead of showing up from that place of obligation that creates resentment, we actually show up with joy, love, the spirit of contribution, and the whole thing shifts, man. The whole thing shifts because now we're coming from that place of joy and love and contribution. That's a whole different space, right? And I want to be really clear. Like, I know that there are things that have to happen in this world that sometimes we don't want to do. There are people that maybe don't like to brush their teeth or go and have medical testing done or mow the lawn or do the laundry or like whatever it is, right? There are chores in this world that we must do. We must work, unless you're independently wealthy, in which case I'm single. Just say. Oh yeah. So unless you're independently wealthy, you are very likely in a position where you must do some sort of work in exchange for the money that will keep you fed and sheltered and put clothes on your back and all of those sorts of things, right? So there are things in this world that we just maybe are not so excited about. But when we are coming at things from this space of my tank is full, my tank is full on a daily basis because I'm taking very good care of myself, and I am bringing into my world those things that make me happy and joyful, and the playful side of myself is just coming out all the time. Can you be with that space for just one moment? What does it feel like to be in the position of, crap, I've got to go to work again? Or, ooh, you know what? I'm going to go to work today and I'm going to get to talk to that person, and I've got this thing that I need to do, and I'm excited about this, and how does it get better than that? Right? So it's all about how we approach this. It's all about how we approach the idea of where are we coming from. So my personal opinion or belief system is that we are really meant to be of service to others in some way, shape, or form, whether that's through your work, whether that's through your community, whether it's about, you know, like there's so many different things. Maybe you volunteer. It's so hard to say how that can be. And honestly, sometimes it can be as simple as going up to the clerk at the store with a smile on your face and asking them how they're doing, meaning it, right? Because sometimes just something that simple can shift a person's day completely. Have you ever been there? Like, think about that for a second. So pretend you're in a restaurant for a moment. You're in a restaurant and you have the server lady comes over to, or the man, whichever it is, comes over to take your order, and they are, they're happy to be here, and they are so pleased to be of service to you, and they can't wait to bring you this beautiful, sumptuous meal. Doesn't that feel different from the one who really could be anywhere else and be happier? We've all had that experience, right? Something as simple as that. Somebody who brings your meal and your drinks with a smile on their face, and they're so happy to be of service to you, versus the person who is really not. They just really are not. And we can all feel that, right? It makes the meal experience. It makes the whole experience completely different. Even down to, how does food taste? How are we enjoying each other's company? Right? Think about that. You're having that meal with someone else that you care about, and this person is showing up bringing that icky energy. Doesn't it affect how you be in that meal, the conversation, the fun level of that experience? Doesn't it affect the whole thing? Yeah. So when we're thinking about this idea of being of service, what kind of a difference could it make for us to show up from our gifts, from our place of wanting to be a contribution to another? How much of a difference does that make? So we need to keep our tank full. We need to keep our tank full. I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to go through with you today. I'm going to give you some really practical tips at a certain point, but there is an article that I wrote a couple of years ago. It is called 5 Reasons You Need to Be a Top Priority in Your Own Life. Now, this used to be the freebie. It used to be the freebie on the website, but it's been taken down. So if you would like to get a copy of this, you absolutely can have that. Just send me an email at jackie@phoenixcoach.ca, JACKIE at PHOENIXCOACH.ca, and I will happily send that out to you. It's like 6 pages long. It's easy to read. It's got some really great information. So we're going to talk about the content of that article today, and some of the tips and so on and so forth that we've got written in there for you. But you're welcome to send me that email and I will happily send that to you. So here's the thing. I am a reformed people pleaser. Now, we've all probably heard of the people pleasing thing, and maybe you're one of us too. The thing that I found was that at a certain point, it became interesting to me how little contribution I was receiving from the people to whom I was giving everything. And I was exhausted, and it took a toll on my health. It took a toll on my mental health. It took a toll on every part of my life, right? And what I've found, or what I've learned, is that as we go through these steps to become a priority in our own lives, we show up differently. We show up completely differently. You know, there's that old saying, "All work and no play makes Jackie a dull girl, makes Jack a dull boy," right? That's the thing. So sometimes it's necessary for us to take a chance. And I'm just going to share with you. This is a book that I bought, I don't even know, a little while ago. Um, Steve Harvey's Jump. He has a video, and if you're at all interested in inspirational stuff, I would highly encourage you to go on YouTube and just type in Steve Harvey Jump. And it is so amazing, the stuff that he talks about. It's this idea of um, nothing can change unless we're willing to take the jump, right? Unless you're willing to step off the cliff, as he talks about. Unless you're willing to step off the cliff, nothing will change. And one of the things that can happen sometimes is that because we've conditioned our people and our relationships to be a certain way. And if you are a people pleaser, then I guarantee you're giving a whole lot more than you are probably getting in return. So sometimes what can happen, unfortunately, is that the person on the other side of the relationship, when we change the rules and say, you know what, this isn't working for me anymore. I need to take better care of myself. I need to think about me. I need to do something that's going to bring me happiness and laughter and joy. And sometimes what can happen is the people on the other side of that conversation aren't all that excited about that idea. So what can happen is that when you start to make your needs a priority, when you start to step into that, I deserve happiness and joy just as much as I'm willing to give it to anybody else. When you start to do that, then you naturally attract into your life the people who are going to cheer you on, the people who are going to do their best to meet your needs, but also they're going to cheer you on when you start taking the steps that will lead you to happiness, even if it's something that might be a little bit inconvenient sometimes for them, right? So these are the sorts of things that happen. These are the sorts of things that happen when we start to make ourselves a top priority in our own lives. It's quite magical, actually. And it's a bit of a process. It's a bit of a process, and sometimes we need to go through those steps. Sometimes we're going to piss people off. Just giving you the truth. Sometimes we're going to piss people off. And sometimes those people they're just going to find their way out of our lives. And that's okay, because
really what they're doing is making room for those other people who are going to cheer us on to show up. And how wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? All right, so I'm going to give our next quote here, and then we are going to head to our first break. So this one is also quite pretty. See? It says, it's by Amethyst Joy, and it says, living your life for other people, no matter how good your intentions, will destroy you. Unfortunate truth. So, you are listening to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today, we are talking about balancing your own needs with the needs of the people and situations in your life, why it's important to choose you, and how to make yourself a priority in your own life. We will be back in just a moment.
What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Time to Rise and Thrive radio show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now back to the program.
Hello and welcome back. As you can see, we are in our first ever episode, and holy heck, I'm telling you, this is something. I said to Christine this morning, I don't know. I don't know about this, but here we go. Jump. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So you are listening to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. Today's show is Choose You. Yes, you're allowed to do that. And we are talking about balancing your own needs with the needs of the people and situations in your life, why it's important to choose you, and how to make yourself a priority in your own life. So our next quote is anonymous. I have no idea who said this, but it's pretty smart. You have the power to make yourself happy. Remember that. You know what you can and can't put up with, and you're only hurting yourself in the long run by putting up with shit that is tearing you down. So maybe we should just stop doing that. What do you think? What do you think? Might be fun, huh? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we're going to get into the content a little bit about the article, that 5 reasons you need to be a top priority in your own life. One of the things that came to me a few years ago is I wanted to sort of get an idea of how to explain this idea. So I'm going to show you, so sort of think about this for a second. Okay. Just follow me on this. So we have this bottle of water. Now, if you only had this one bottle of water over the course of the day, then you would probably get pretty good at conserving it, right? You would sip, you would whatever. You're not likely to just go and guzzle and drown the whole thing. So if we think of our energy from that same sort of place where there is a certain amount, we have a certain amount to work with throughout the course of every day. So here's where this can start to take a toll on us. If we get to the end of this bottle and we still have several hours in the day, then what happens? What happens? Well, often what happens to our health is that we start to borrow. We start to borrow from the time ahead of us. We start to borrow from the next day's energy and then the day after that's energy. And it will start to sort of bleed over. And that's when we start to have health problems. That's when we start to notice that these things are taking a toll on our physical being and also psychologically. But physical being is where this is going to show up a little bit better for us with this example. So if we have a certain amount of energy to work with in a day and we run out of that energy and we don't have those reserves, that's when people start to get sick because we don't have anything else to work with. But if we have been filling that tank, if we have been taking care of meeting our needs and choosing ourselves, making sure that we have that play, that joy, all of that stuff, we build up a bit of a reserve. So when you get to those days, those days, the ones that are just tough, right? And we all have them. There's no way to get around it. We all have these days where you're just like, oh my God. Oh my God, right? Maybe somebody cuts you off in traffic or your boss or your client they're having a rough day and they're taking it out on you, or like, who knows, maybe the technology's not working for me. Almost always, almost always. And if you've ever worked with me in any kind of capacity, it's the technology very often that gets me. Maybe the technology is just not working, right? Whatever it is, we all have those days where things just don't quite gel. They don't quite come together in a way that would make the day go smoothly. So when we have that tank, that reserve of energy to work with, of whatever it is, then we can pull from there. We can pull from there. And we get to a point where when we keep that topped up, especially, we can get through just about anything that life throws at us. But when we're not taking care of those things, you're just going to end up completely burnt out and exhausted. So the first of the 5 reasons is something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. We had Dr. Laura Gravel on as our guest, and we were talking about you can't serve from an empty bucket. So if you picture this from the point of like the bucket of water, like I have this picture in my head of, movies where the people are out on the farm and they're going around with the scoop and the bucket and they're pouring, everyone's getting a scoop of water when they're taking a break. They're out working hard in the sun and whatever, right? If that bucket's empty, no one's getting a drop, right? And that's what we're talking about when our reserves run out and we have not taken the chance or the opportunity to do those things, that fill us back up. You've got nothing left to give, and you've got nothing left to give. So number 2, it's okay to ask for help. There are songs written. I'm sure there are probably books written. No man is an island. And it's okay to reach out when we can't do something, or better yet, when it's just not our strong suit. When I go into my website and I try to do stuff, sometimes I crash it. In all honesty, the technology, I am telling you. But if I get my guy, that this is his gifts. He is functioning from his gifts when he's going into the websites and doing all of this stuff that makes me want to scream and pull my hair out. It's him functioning from his gifts. Maybe it's like, it could be anything, whatever is not you functioning from your gifts. When you are allowing other people to take care of that stuff and you're taking care of you, I promise you, it gets easier on all levels. You're not ready to kill anybody. They're not ready to kill you. Everything is working the way it should, hopefully quite smoothly. I get my guy, Brent. He goes into the website and it's done. I could be in there 5 hours trying to figure out the thing that just took him 30 seconds, right? And it has happened. I promise you that thing has happened. No man is an island. It's okay for you to reach out for help. And in fact, you do yourself far more of a favor by building yourself a team of people, building yourself a team, right? The thing of it is that we don't all have to do anything. And how great would it be for you to have, even within your own home, right? Even if you've got small kids, right? A very, like, how old do you have to be able to throw together a peanut butter sandwich or wash an apple or, any number of things? And then we start to get into the other side benefits of all of these things, right? You actually are not helping anyone by trying to do everything by yourself. And that can be a little bit of a, that little stick. It can be that little stick place because maybe they don't do it the way we want them to do it. But think about the contribution it is to, for example, your kids. If you allow them to help you with chores, the thing of it is at some point, especially when we're talking about kids, at some point they are going to be ready to go out into this world. And if you have never taught them how to cook a meal or how to do a load of laundry, they are going to be woefully unprepared. If they do not know how to pay a bill, if they do not know how to find a job, if they don't know, like, there's so many things that as parents, it is actually our responsibility to make sure that they are equipped to get out there into the world and, you know, live without us. That is our job. That is our number one job as a parent. So when you take small children, for example, and you allow them to help you with, making beds and folding laundry, they don't have to do it perfectly, right? But we are also instilling in them a sense of my value. I helped mommy. I helped daddy. I helped whomever. I'm important. I have value because I helped them and I can do something, right? I can do something that's important. All of that stuff, right? That's the side benefits of allowing people to help us. There are certain things that I do really well in my house. Like, man, I'm not the best housekeeper. Um, I do much better actually when I have somebody that actually can take care of that stuff for me. But you put me in the kitchen, that's me functioning for my gifts, right? So that's the stuff. That's the stuff. Do what you're good at, build the team, and let other people come in and help you with the things that are not you functioning from your gifts. Okay, so this comment and the article actually has been written from the perspective of a woman. So I don't mean to be exclusive, but that's how it was written. So you are not, and you do not have to be Superwoman. So there's going to be a show coming up in the very near future, and it's about donning our capes and tights and swooping in to rescue people. And man, I used to do that all the time. It made me feel pretty good. It made me feel kind of important. I'm the only one that can do this. I am the only one that can do this well. Have you ever told yourself that? Yeah, not true. Not true. There are probably a million other people on the planet that could do just as good a job at anything that you do. They won't do it quite the way you do because you are unique and amazing and brilliant and beautiful all by yourself. But the job could be done by someone else. So make no mistake, the job could be done by someone else in your absence. Okay? You don't have to be that person, and you put so much pressure on yourself. You also rob the people that you care about of the opportunity to learn how strong they are, to learn how good they are. You rob them of that because you don't give them the chance to do those things for themselves. So, they talk about being selfish. They talk about, you shouldn't do these things for yourself because that would be selfish. But let's consider, just shift that around for just a second. How selfish is it for us to create circumstances where our loved ones are completely dependent on us? There you go. There's a little bit of a mind fuck. All right. And the last point on this is you deserve it. You deserve to enjoy your life. Your mere presence on this planet means that you were deserving, you were made deserving of these things in your world. You're allowed to be happy. You are allowed to have fun. You are allowed to have joy. And if you are not having that, please, God, listen to me. If you are not having that currently in your life, you can change that. You can change that. You just have to make some choices and do a little bit of work. That's it. That's it. It's up to you. There's no judgment here. If you choose to stay in that role, maybe it gives you great fulfillment. Maybe it doesn't. That's on you to figure out, my friend. And you get to choose. So our next quote before we go to our next break says, you won't always be a priority to others, and that's why you have to be a priority to yourself. Learn to respect yourself, take care of yourself, and become your own support system. Your needs matter. Start meeting them. Choose yourself today. So this one is given Mark and Angel. I'm not sure. I think that's a website. I have no idea. All right. So you are listening and watching Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am so freaked out by this, guys. Oh my God. I am your host, Jackie Mott. I can't believe we're doing this. When we come back, I am going to share with you a few steps about balancing your own needs and with the needs of other, how to make yourself a priority in your own life. We are going to go through some actual concrete tips on how to go about doing that. So Jackie from Phoenix Coaching here in London, Ontario. You're listening to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network, and we will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is Time to Rise and Thrive radio show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. I'm so glad you're with us today. This is the time in the show when I'm supposed to plug whatever's going on in my business. There's a lot going on in my business, like a TV show. How wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? Here I am. Yeah. Okay. So we have an online program that I've been working on for the last little while, and it is called Subliminal. Now you get to see me when I can't talk. Isn't that fun? Subliminal Soundtrack Reset. It is an 8-week program, and it is starting in the very near future. It's in the final stages right now. We're just waiting on some recording stuff that is being edited and fixed up for us. And when we've got that back, I will be launching a beta program. So what that means, if you're not familiar with the term, is that we're going to ask some people to be guinea pigs, and there will be a fee, there will be a cost. It'll be a low cost because the guinea pig people are supposed to help me work out all of the kinks. So you get a really good deal on the program. It's going to be filled with amazing content where you're going to talk about all areas of your life. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about body image and sexuality. We're going to talk about believing in yourself and learning how to love yourself and speaking your truth. We're going to be talking about all of these things, and there will be some meditations and some recordings that will help you walk through sort of identifying what kinds of messages are playing on your subliminal soundtrack currently and how those are affecting your life, which ones you need to change and which ones are actually working for you. So we want to go from the ones that are holding us back to the ones that are going to propel us toward creating the life that we actually would choose for ourselves. So that's coming up in the very near future. Just like I said, working through the last little bit of technical stuff. Your best place to go to get information about anything that we're doing is probably Facebook. So we've got a page, Phoenix Coaching London, I believe it's what it's called on Facebook. If you go there, and I think you got to like it and subscribe to it or whatever it is, like it and follow it, something like that. If you go there and do that, then you will get updates as they become available. So that group is going to be starting in the very near future. And again, the pricing is going to be fantastic because you're going to be helping me out by joining in. It will be a limited group and it will be an 8-week program. There you go. That's all I've got for you on that. So now getting back to our show. Today we are talking about balancing our own needs with the needs of others, about making ourselves a top priority in our own lives. So our next quote, this one I've seen all over Facebook over and over again, and I did actually Google it to try to figure out if I could find who had actually said it, and I have no idea who it was. It says, you are allowed to terminate toxic relationships. You are allowed to walk away from the people who hurt you. You are allowed to be angry and selfish and unforgiving. And you certainly don't owe anybody an explanation for choosing to take care of you. How wonderful is that? You don't owe anybody an explanation. And I'm going to take that just a couple of steps further. Like, why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we want to bring people into our lives who require so much of us, who take and never give in return? Why do their opinions matter? And there we go with subliminal soundtrack stuff, right? It's that stuff in the back of our mind that causes us to make decisions and behave in relationships, and what we're going to ask for and what we're not going to ask for, what we feel we deserve, all of that. It's so important for us to get clarity on that stuff and to start to shift it, because we want to be able to create a life that brings us some happiness too, right? Like, it's all wonderful to go out there into the world and want to create joy and happiness for other people. That's wonderful. And we're also entitled to the same thing. How wonderful would it be if you had things that you were looking forward to in your own day, in your own life, in your relationships, in your playtime? How wonderful would that be? So, what do we do if we wake up one day and we realize that we've put ourselves at the bottom of our priority list? It happened to me. It happened to me quite a number of years ago. And what happens when you get there? So what I've got in this article, this 5 reasons you need to be a top priority in your own life, this one that you're going to email if you want. What I've got in there is just 3 steps. And I want to be really clear. There is absolutely no judgment here. None whatsoever. I don't have the time or the energy. And I got to tell you, I think that's one of those big shifts that's happened in my world as a result of shifting this idea. I don't have to make other people wrong anymore. And I got to tell you, it's so much less work. It's so much lighter and happier to operate from this space of, you know what, I'm happy. I've got what I want. I've got what I need. I'm working toward this and all of that sort of stuff. It just changes your entire way of being in this world, right? So no judgment here. But if you do feel like maybe some of these things are challenges for you, like you're not really the top priority, or you're not even really a priority at all in your world, and you'd like to change that, 3 steps. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to get clarity. You have to get clear, okay? Where are you doing things that don't serve you? tasks that don't fall under your gifts, like we've been talking about. Like, if you're the person who, for example, like I've been doing a lot of gardening and outdoor stuff this year because COVID, right? So what are you going to do? So I've been doing a lot of gardening, and it's funny because some of the stuff I seem to grow really well. Some stuff I seem to have an amazing green thumb. And then there are other things that I'm looking at them going, okay, I'm doing exactly the same thing. What's wrong with that? Why is that not growing? Right? But if you're a gardener person and that falls within your gifts, well, then, it just comes naturally to you, right? You don't have to think about it a whole lot. So where are you not doing the things that honor you or operating from your gifts? What about the relationships that drain you? I'm sure that's never happened to anyone but me, right? Those relationships where, it's like, oh, God, I don't want to do that with this person, but I feel that obligation. And there comes the resentment, right? Like, how heavy is that? What about where you're not taking care of your own health? You've got to be honest here. You've got to be honest. Where are you not taking care of your own health? Where are you not taking care of you? What about work that exhausts you? Are you currently in a job or a career where it sucks the life out of you? You got to get clarity. So anything that you can think of, anything in your world that maybe falls under this category of it's not really serving me. Maybe it used to, and I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for that relationship. I'm grateful for whatever. And now it's time for me to release it so that I can actually start to do this other thing and make myself happy for a change. Just saying. So the second part of this is, what do you truly desire? So prioritizing the things that meet your needs and bring you joy. What does self-care look like to you right now? And it's fluid. It's a fluid thing, right? Like maybe it's about getting more rest. Maybe it's about eating differently. Maybe it's about exercising. Maybe it's about time with your friends. Maybe it's about bringing in that laughter. Maybe it's about dancing or taking on a sport that you used to love. And there's a key. If you're not sure what that might be, think about those things that you did when you were a kid that were so much fun for you. Those things that came so naturally, and you just, oh man, they were so much fun. Think about that stuff. And what would it take for you to bring some of that stuff into your world? What about taking a class? Like some of us really like to learn new stuff, reading a book, so many things, right? Think about what might bring that peace and bliss and ease into your world. Think about that stuff. What can you delegate? Um, Asking for and requiring help of the people in your world. Like I said, probably even a 4-year-old can slap together a peanut butter sandwich. So do you really need to make sure that every meal happens at this time? Do you really need to do that? Or could you be enlisting the help of your people? Could you? Sure. Could you hire somebody to help you with tasks at work that are, they're not easy for you? They cause you a great deal of stress in your business. Could you find a Brent for your website so that you know that this stuff is going to get taken care of and you're not going to be sitting there pulling your head out or hair out every single time something needs to happen? Could you find somebody like that, or someone to help you with marketing or like any of that stuff, right? So the last part is this determining the messages that are playing on your subliminal soundtrack that actually caused you to put yourself at the bottom of your own priority list. Yeah. We need to determine what they are. And then we need to create new ones to replace the old ones with. And then we need to implement. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing on that subliminal soundtrack reset program that I talked about. Or again, you can get some tips from that by going to the website and signing up for 3 easy ways to reset your subliminal soundtrack. Yeah, so you've got options. But the thing of it is, you need to take action. That's the thing. Remember our jump book? Remember, If we just stand on the cliff and we do nothing, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. Again, no right or wrong, but if you're not happy, you got a choice. You've got a choice. So I'm getting prompted here that we are. Oh, Christine says all texts named Brent are so happy right now. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? Okay, so we're going to head to our next break. So the quote here, it says, sometimes the most courageous thing you could do is to choose yourself, even if it means losing someone else. And I think it says Nidhi Kush Shah. I'm not any idea if I've said that properly. I hope I have. And if I haven't, I apologize. So, yeah. So you are listening to and watching Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, we're going to talk about balancing your own needs with the needs of the people and situations in your life, why it is important to make yourself a priority in your own life. We will wrap up that conversation when we come back from this break. So we will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Time to Rise and Thrive radio show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to the last segment of today's show. Choose you. Yes, you are allowed to do that. We are talking about making yourself a priority in your own life. Our next quote is by R.H. Sin, and I wish I knew what R.H. stands for, but it simply says, self-love. You have to choose yourself even when others refuse to. Self-love is choosing yourself, and choosing yourself is self-care. You're entertaining the wrong things with the wrong people because you're struggling with loving yourself. Ouch. It's okay to take a break, a moment for yourself. It's okay to be selfish if it means rediscovering your own power. And again, let's just think about that. How selfish is it for us to go through our lives creating people that are dependent upon us as opposed to helping them learn how to do for themselves? That one was a hard one for me. That one was a really hard one for me. We don't want to cripple the people that we love, do we? We don't want to make it so that they can't function without us, do we? Like, what kind of relationship do we have if those are the things? And the truth of the matter is, we talked about this idea of earning love. You cannot earn love from anyone. Love is a gift and it has to be given freely. If what you are receiving is something that you deserve because you've earned it, it is not love, my friend. It is not love. And I'm sorry to be the one to share that with you. I promise you that was a really, really painful lesson. That was a really one. And things have shifted a lot since then. Thank God, things have shifted a lot since then. So learning to choose you is a process. It requires effort, and some people may not be all that happy when you stop being their own personal Cinderella. But the alternative is simply existing as opposed to living. And I got to tell you, I choose living. I choose living. I did Cinderella for a very, very, very long time. And yeah, life is better now. Life is a whole lot better. So you are not, I'm just going to read, this is something that I wrote this morning. It says, you are not put on this planet to only serve others. And when you function from your gifts and your brilliance, how you serve others changes. It comes from a place of love, joy, and contribution, not a place of obligation and resentment. And that completely changes the flavor of it, doesn't it? Remember what we were talking about, the person who brings your meal with a big smile on, and you can tell that they are so happy to serve you and make a positive experience for you. There were years and years and years ago, I used to be a server. I'm trying to remember what it was called. Elias Brothers. They still have them in the States. We don't have them in Canada. Well, we don't have them here anymore. Anyway, Elias Brothers was my first serving job. And I remember having this very conscious thought process that it was my job to make sure that that person sitting at that table enjoyed their experience while they were with me. And it was my challenge. I challenged myself, when people would walk in the door and they'd have, that cloud hanging over their head, they're kind of looking miserable and upset and whatever. I would challenge myself at like 15, 16 years old to be the person who brought a smile to their face. That was my challenge to myself, because that's who I am and that's how I function. My job. And if I could make their experience in my section at my table, if I could make their experience pleasant, then I'd done my job well. And it's amazing. In all honesty, it's amazing, because sometimes even when things go wrong, when you have that kind of energy about it, doesn't it shift things? Right? Like maybe something got screwed up with their order. Maybe I made a mistake. But if I show up and I go, "Oh my God, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry." Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. We're fixing it. It's going to be okay. I'll be right back. Right? Doesn't that shift? Like, it's okay. It's okay. Right? And maybe you throw in a dessert or something to make them happy. I don't know. But, there are ways to handle things. Even when things go wrong, there are ways to handle things where we're coming from that place. So how do you want to show up? And what would it take for you to choose you? What would it take for you to choose you, my friend? How might that affect your relationships? Do you think that maybe you choosing you, having some fun and filling your own reservoir, filling your own tank, do you think that that might change how you show up? Do you think you might have a bit of a way of being in your relationships with the people who matter to you when you're happy and you're feeling fulfilled and joyful? Don't you think that that might shift stuff? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So that's what I've got for you today, my friends. Our last quote of the show, the one that I'm going to leave you with, is by Demon. It says, "Choose yourself, choose happiness, choose peace, choose what makes you fall in love with yourself. Life is too short to spend on anything else other than the things that help your heart grow with love. You don't have to find love elsewhere. It is there inside you. Look inside, embrace your heart, and be patient. Let love be the light and the guide for your heart to find what you deserve." How nice is that, right? All right, so we will be back next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain Time, and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is called Personal Connection, Community, and Tribe. We've talked about tribe a lot of times, right? So this is going to be talking about how to create a strong, supportive tribe who will see you in all of your glory and all of your flawed imperfection and love you even more because of it. How great would that be? It's pretty great. Just trust me, it is pretty great. So we're going to talk about that next week. Don't forget to go to phoenixcoach.ca to download your free copy of 3 easy ways to reset your subliminal soundtrack, or to email me at jackie@phoenixcoach.ca for that free copy of 5 reasons you need to be a top priority in your own life. I will happily email that out to you. Yeah. So that's what I've got. Thank you so very much for joining me today on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. I am so very, very grateful for your time and your energy and your contribution to the show. I hope that you have learned something that has helped you to see things a bit differently. We'll be back next Friday. Yay. Hopefully this video thing worked out. I am your host, Jackie Mott of Phoenix Coaching in London, Ontario. And until next Friday, remember, it's time to rise and thrive.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.